Hey guys, welcome back. So today we're out at the range to play around with some Czechnology. If you guys follow the channel, you know that I'm a huge fan of Czech designed firearms. And that's for a number of different reasons. First of all, they're very adept at manufacturing firearms and designing them. And secondly, they kind of didn't care much for the Soviets, kind of like me. So they were kind of reluctant partners in the whole comm block thing, and they wanted to do things their own way. And they did quite a good job. They didn't want the AK-47, so they didn't use it. They didn't want the SKS, so they didn't use it. They didn't want to use the Tokarev pistol, so they didn't use it. The Czechs designed their own firearms. And what we're going to talk about today is the CZ52, or sometimes called the vz.52, or Vizor, which is short for model of 1952. And this is a 7.62x25 Tokarev, but this little handgun has an interesting history. And I'm going to show you a second handgun that's a little bit of an anomaly, but first we're going to talk about the 7.62x25 version I have here in my hand. The gun that I have here is an actual military handgun, and you can tell that because of the markings that are on the frame. Now, this one has a manufacture date of 1954, and then it has a 77 over here, which means it was Arsenal refurbished in 1977. These were only made for about 3 or 4 years. 1954 was the last year that the guns were manufactured. And then you can also tell that it's a military service handgun because it has RID right after the serial number here on the frame, just in front of my my index finger. This one's my pinky. All right, hopefully Jason can see that. If not, we'll get some pictures. So anyway, it's a very interesting handgun, but what's really cool about the gun, because the Czechs didn't like being part of the comm block, behind the Iron Curtain whole Cold War thing. The Soviets actually had to roll the tanks on them at least once to get them back into line when they try to, separate. Don't want to get too far into that, I guess, but they designed this handgun initially, as history tells us, as a 9mm. So you're probably wondering why this handgun is so large for a 7.62x25. It's because it was originally designed as a 9mm. And then the Soviets came in and said, okay, fine, you're not going to use our firearms, but you're going to use our calibers for logistical reasons. And so they are forced into using the 7.62x25. Let's go ahead, load the handgun up. We'll do some shooting with it. We're going to take it apart. One thing I noticed on some of the other videos on YouTube is that people only take the slide off the frame and they stop the disassembly there. We're going to go a little bit further, but we're going to do that in the studio because it's a nice balmy 19 degrees today or something like that. So yeah, I'm going to keep my gloves on. So we'll do a little bit of shooting here at the gun. We have another one here that's a bit of an anomaly. This one was imported by Century Arms, as the other one was, but this one you're going to notice has a slightly blued look to it versus the Parkerized finish. You'll notice that the barrel is silver and it is marked 9mm Luger. So this is actually a gun that was Arsenal rebuilt into 9mm. Now you can also buy a 9mm barrel. Good luck finding one, because I did try for years. You can buy a 9mm barrel that will drop into your existing 7.62x25 handgun and run 9mm out of it. Eric over at Iraq Veteran said that you can even run 9x23 if you choose to do so, if you can get a barrel or, basically ream out a 9mm barrel. The gun, in essence, can handle much higher pressures than the 7.62x25. Let's start off with the original caliber. Right here we have some S&B 7.62x25. Get 10 rounds out. I'm not going to need all 10. The office is a little bit frigid today, guys. If I remember right, should hold 8 rounds. But I've got old man brain, so I forget every once in a while. Ha ha! Ha ha ha! I won. I almost dropped a round. Didn't give one to the homies today. All right. Loading magazines with gloves on is surprisingly difficult at times. All right. Am I going to get a 9th round in there? Almost. Okay, so we'll go with 8. 2 left over. All right, so there you go. There's the nice little bottlenecked 7.62x25. Let's grab the original military pistol. We have a challenge steel target downrange, 15 yards or so. Now it has a heel release. I went ahead and inserted the magazine. It is a single action only handgun. So you have a hammer, and then you have a safety here. Pull it down. Red means fire. That means safe. But it also has a hammer drop safety. So if you push it up a little further, it'll drop the hammer, presumably safely on a live round in the chamber. There have been reports of the guns actually going off when you do that, so be careful. Now, the other interesting feature is that this cross pin right here actually can be used as a slide stop. The gun does lock open on the last shot fired, but I'm going to push up on it with my thumb here, draw the slide to the rear, and you'll see that I've locked it even though it has live rounds in the chamber. So some of the features of the handgun. Go ahead and charge it, and now we have the hammer back. The only way it can fire, if I want to decock it, I can pull the trigger. Nothing's going to happen until I recock it. Single action only trigger. All right. Now, the ergonomics may look like they're a bit off, but the gun is surprisingly pleasant to shoot. It has a little bit of muzzle rise to it, but it's a neat little gun to shoot for sure. Especially if you take the safety off. Yeah, nice flinch there. One of them went low because I am flinching today. Yes, I flinch like everybody else. All right, so there we go. 8 rounds out of that one. Let's warm up for a second, load up the 9mm, and do a little bit of shooting with it. So this is the Century Arms import that was Arsenal rebuilt in the Czech Republic into a 9mm. You'll notice it has a kind of polished extractor, and of course then the silver barrel that says 9mm on it, and then the blued slide on the parked frame. What's interesting to note about this handgun is that there's no re-arsenal date stamped on the side plate here, and yes, it's a side plate. Think of like a Smith & Wesson revolver. Quite, well, I won't say it's unique, but it's different from most semi-automatic pistols. But then here we have the manufacture date. I think this one's a 53. My old man eyes can't see it. I just know one's a 53 and one's a 54. But this one has no re-arsenal dates on it. So when they did this conversion, they didn't restamp it. So this was definitely made for the commercial market. However, the frame of this handgun, and most likely the slide, bear the acceptance marks. That little X right there in front of the takedown tab is a military acceptance mark. So, and it has the RID and the serial number as well. So this was converted. And yeah, this one operates just like the Tokarev. However, it will chamber and shoot 9mm, and I'm using the 7.62 Tokarev magazine. So you can see there's a lot of dead space in front of the bullet. Remington couldn't make a magazine work with that dead space, but the Czechs did. They're amazing people. Maybe they need to hire some Czechs over at Remington. But you can see that the 7.62 by 25 is a considerably longer cartridge. But despite that fact, we're still using 9mm in the Tokarev magazine. So the manual of arms is identical, guys. I'm going to go ahead and cock the pistol. Okay, there's the safety. That's fire. That's safe. I can cock the pistol while it's on safe. I can push up on that little bar as a slide release. Now, there's some aftermarket parts out there that have little, dimples on them here that allow you to drop the slide. I like to keep the guns in their original configuration. And then I can just grab my 9mm magazine, insert it into the grip just like the other pistol. It has that heel release, which is just a piece of sheet metal folded over. All right, go ahead and charge it up and do some shooting. Take safety off this time. Now what's funny is even though the 9mm is a little bit heavier cartridge, the recoil impulse is mild. I mean, this gun is a true pleasure to shoot. Here's another one of the 7.62 by 25 magazines from the other gun, and it works just fine as a 9mm. It's actually a very, very smooth shooting little handgun. So if you guys, it's kind of hard to get this magazine out with gloves on. Come on, there we go. If you guys have the 7.62 out there, jump on Gun Broker and see if you can find a 9mm barrel. It's literally just a barrel swap, and you're up and running with easier to find, usually more affordable 9mm ammo. and it runs 100% in the gun. Or you can find one of these Century Arms imports, which are kind of hard to find these days. What a great pistol. I just love Czech guns. Yeah. One of these days I'll have to try to break out all my Czech rifles and Czech handguns. I don't think we can get them all in the Jeep. I've been collecting these stupid things for decades. But yeah, anyway. What do you say to that? The Czechs are awesome. When Century Arms imported the 9mm converted guns from the Czech Republic, this is the box that they came in. You can see that it says CZ52 Cal 9mm Luger. And so that's what makes this a little bit different. Most people that have 9mm versions of the gun simply bought a barrel and installed it into the gun. So it came with all the stuff you see here. This is a slightly different holster. I mean, it's the same style, but the leather is different. Usually it's a darker brown pigskin leather holster, but this is an actual military holster. You can see that it's well worn. And then you have the pistol inside. This one only had one magazine when I got it. Maybe it had a second one underneath here, but there's not one there. And then the cleaning rod, and that's it. So this is what the original Century Arms import 9mm converted 52s would look like when they shipped from Century after they imported them, versus picking up one that has a conversion barrel in it. Let's take the CZ52 apart. It's a very simple process, and everything you need to take the gun apart is on the gun. I've seen some other videos about the gun, and for whatever reason, people stop the disassembly process simply by taking the slide off the frame. They don't go any further, but there's one additional step I want to show you guys. So first, we're going to make sure that the weapon's clear. To do that, we're going to release the magazine. It has that heel release. The magazine is empty. We'll set it aside. Now I'm going to go ahead and check the chamber on the gun. And the gun is empty. Right here, by my index finger, you'll see a serrated tab. It's present on both sides of the gun. Let me show you the other side. So this little tab is much like how Glocks are disassembled these days. You pull the slide slightly to the rear and you pull down on the tabs, except these tabs are a little bit easier to access. So I'm going to go ahead, pull the slide slightly to the rear, pull down on the tabs, and that slide will come forward just a little bit. See how it dislodges? Now, once that happens, you can just lift the slide off the frame. And this is the genius of the gun. I mean, it looks very complex, but it's not. So we don't need to field strip the frame any further. So we'll set that aside. You simply wipe that down and oil it. And now, for whatever reason, a lot of the videos stop here. But here you can see the roller mechanism. And you can see how the rollers are in their locked recess right now. And here's your recoil spring. I've seen one video where a guy puts a punch in this hole to pull it down, and that's just simply not necessary. There's a flat spot cut just in front of that hole, and your disassembly tool is your magazine. Now I'm going to use the magazine and show you the gun going from the current locked position to the unlocked position. So when the gun fires, there's a shelf that engages here, and recoil forces will pull this forward. And see how those little rollers come out of lockup? They're in lockup. And as this pulls forward, it pulls them out of lockup. Okay? So that's how the roller locking mechanism works. Very, very simple in design. To take it apart, you have to do this kind of carefully, but on that ledge, you just put the toe of your magazine there, and you pull backward and lift up, and everything comes out. And that's all you need to do to field strip it. The roller locking mechanism is right there. It's very simple. It has this one sliding piece and the two rollers. And this is your locking piece and your rollers. It's basically a miniaturized HK style, right? Okay, so to put it back together, very simple. We'll just reverse the process, put the recoil spring back on. We'll set it inside the slide. Now this is where you have to be a little bit careful. We have to pull this forward and into the unlocked position. Hopefully Jason can see this. Pull this forward into the unlocked position. The rollers will collapse and everything goes back together. It requires a little bit of force, and you'll need some hand strength to do it, but it's not a very complex process, all right? And after that, you simply set the slide on top of the gun until it drops down, and pull it rearward, and it locks itself back together, and your gun's fully assembled. How simple is that? It's one of the many reasons I love Czech designs. That elegance and simplicity translates into a very reliable, robust handgun. The Germans pioneered the roller locking, roller delay system, and they did that during World War II. Guns like the MG42 used a roller locking delay system. And so that carried on after the war. The engineers that worked on that and the STG45M, those engineers went to Spain to help develop the SETME, and then that became the HK G3. And so the roller locking system, that's kind of the whole heritage of it, but it wasn't commonly used in handguns. The Czechs used it in the CZ52, but they weren't the only ones. The Germans did too. This is a H&K made, they started production of these around 1969, so after the Czechs had already started producing the CZ52, the Germans made their own roller locked handgun for the commercial market, and that would be the P9S that I have here in my hands. It is 9mm, and it is a striker fired gun. You can see the little striker protruding there from the end. We have a little safety here, and here we have a slide release when we lock it to the rear. But it's a very interesting handgun from history. Some folks may not even be aware that it exists, but yes, this is a roller locked, roller delayed handgun. Take your pick. With a horrible trigger reset. So there you guys go. CZ52 isn't the only roller locked handgun out there. I say this fairly regularly in my videos. If you're looking at buying a milsurp handgun or rifle like this one, there's no time like the present, guys. While these things were coming in the country, they were very affordable, but now that the surplus market on these handguns has dried up and they've become harder to find, now you get into the collector's realm, and you're going to find them on places like Gunbroker and for sale forums like, you know, AR15.com, or a local forum like we have here in Indiana, Indigo.com. They have classified sections. That's where you're going to find these things for sale, and their prices just keep creeping up. So if you're interested in a surplus gun, buy it now. Don't put it off for a year or two, because you're going to regret it, because the price is only going to go up. One of the things I wanted to point out about this handgun is it does have a little quirky behavior, and the grip angle is such that under recoil, this safety lever, I can actually, as it recoils back, start to rotate that up to the half mast position, which will then cause the gun not to fire. It doesn't even have to be in the full safe position. Just about halfway up, it will cause the trigger to not be able to be pulled. So that's something you have to be aware of. Now, when I've shot these guns without gloves on, I can't recall having that problem, but we were having that problem out here today. All right, gonna load up one more magazine and fire it off here, guys. If you'd like to support us here at the Military Arms Channel, guys, the best way to do that is to become a Patreon supporter. There is a link down below. Follow that link, check out our Patreon page, and consider clicking to become a Patreon button. Another great way to support us here at the channel is to pick up a t-shirt from Forge from Freedom. Again, there's a link down below. Pick up a hoodie or a sweater because it's cold outside, at least where we live, or you can still pick up a t-shirt. And last but not least, be sure to swing by and check us out at coppercustom.com. Oh yeah, and there's this one other thing that we're doing now. It's called Twitch. And yeah, there's a link down below. Check out our Twitch page. We will be live streaming video games. Yes, I'm a gamer. I've been doing it my entire life. Even at 50, I'm still doing it. If you want to jump in and watch some of our streams, feel free. As a matter of fact, if you're a Patreon or confirmed Patreons, we will allow to, we're going to try to build a clan, and they're going to be part of the streams too. So check out our brand new Twitch page. And again, the link's down below. All right, guys. Fire off the last few rounds and get out of here and warm ourselves up. Not warm enough to warm me up. Gonna need the Jeep for that one. We'll see you guys later. Thanks for watching. So what would a Mac video be without me breaking out some wildly weird historical piece? Well, it's not necessarily that weird, but this is one of my Tokarev pistols. This one is a 1940 manufactured. See if Jason can zoom in. World War II Tokarev pistol. No import marks. This is what we call a duffel bag gun. You can see all the markings on it. On the top of the slide, we have markings. You can tell the serrations. These would have changed after the war to more traditional serrations. So these would be period correct for a 1940 built pistol. I have the original holster and everything for it. And this is designed obviously to shoot the 7.62 by 25 Tokarev cartridge. Now I do have a couple of 213 Chinese pistols and some Yugoslavian pistols. I actually have a slightly longer grip with one extra round in the magazine. All fun and good. The 213s are 9mm, but like I said, my 213 has peened itself so badly that I can't get the barrel out of the slide. So while some of these have been chambered in 9mm and continue to be chambered in 9mm, they're not exactly ideal for it. And that's why the Czechs built the vz.52 to be, or CZ52 to be so robust. So those guys out there are going to say, oh, Mac, there's all these 9mm Tokarevs out there. Yes, they're out there. Even the Yugoslavians make them for the commercial market. But just keep in mind, the gun was not designed for 9mm. The 52 was. All right, so got an empty magazine. We'll go ahead and keys. Maybe I put them in my other pocket. Maybe I actually did it right this time. Ta-da! There we go. There's our little bottleneck friend. All right, and load it into the grip. This, guys, is just a simply beautiful piece of history. I love these guns. Okay, charge the weapon. It's a single action only pistol. We do have a slide stop slide release on it, but we have no manual safety. Now, a lot of you guys may be in possession of a recently imported gun like a Yugoslavian M57 or something like that that has a safety on it, but that was done for U.S. import regulations. The guns weren't originally designed with any type of manual safety. All right. I love this little piece of history. Oh no, the springs are getting weak in this old girl. I can buy new ones, I should. The slides are really sluggish. I could shoot another magazine through it, guys, but I'm not going to. I need to put a new recoil spring in. I think Wolf actually has them. I don't want to beat it up too bad because they can damage themselves. But yeah, I just thought I'd break it out and show you the original Tokarev pistol that chambered the 7.62 by 25.